It was kind of a soft storm, though. What was the office predicting versus how it actually played out with the flooding? Because all my neighbors were surprised. I was surprised. I've never seen that in my lifetime. I'm 32 years old. My dad has never seen flooding. He was born in Tampa in 1954. Um, but the neighbor next to me was one of the original owners in our neighborhood. He's never seen water that high.
Hmm.
So, what did it look like going into that night, prediction wise, versus going through the night and waking up and realizing this was a historic event?
We know and we communicate that information and we try to get it out there because the National Weather Service was spot on with their
Yeah.
predictions for this storm, like eerily spot on. Um, so we knew that we weren't going to be seeing at the most tropical storm force winds, but that churning, the storm was like Helene was massive, like
Hmm.
the biggest storm I've personally seen, and it just went it wasn't affecting us with the wind. Like I specifically remember like trying to sleep during it, and just thinking that it should be stronger. It's it's
Hmm.
it's supposed to be like a scary event.
Right.
Like it should the wind and stuff should be stronger, but um, it never reached something that seemed crazy outside of our office. But we just kind of knew the whole entire time, and we kept saying on social media, onto to our communications, saying it's not the wind that's the threat from this one. It's going to be the surge that comes afterwards. Like it might actually, it might actually. I think what it was for that day was a pretty clear, chill day that afternoon,
Hmm.
but the water just continued to rise, like steadily come up and start to affect people. And we saw that happening actually around the middle of the night, which is why we had to start doing water rescues for folks because, um, we say evacuate, but even a mandatory evacuation is still an optional evacuation.
Right.
Like we can't make people leave, even if we say it's mandatory. We don't have the authority to take people from their houses.
And I talked about this on the Hillsborough podcast we did last week. And I said on the podcast, I'm a dumbass. Don't listen to me. I'll say that again. Yeah, I didn't evacuate on Helene. And none of my neighbors did, and none of the neighborhood I lived in. I mean, it was like everyone I knew did not heed that warning.
Yeah.
And we talked about on that last podcast, and I'm sure you'll agree, like it's just kind of a Floridian thing. Like I think a lot of people for a long time in this city, especially Tampa Bay, the Indians have protected us, right? We have these little cheeky, funny things we say. But it's just luck. That's all it is. It's just luck. I don't think anyone was expecting it. A lot of people got too comfortable and they didn't heed that warning. Again, myself included. That was stupid. I think the good news that came out of it from an evacuation standpoint was when Milton got announced, everyone I knew left. Everyone I knew left. The guy who lives next to me that was the original owner, I'll never leave, he left too.
Yeah.
So I think Helene in some weird way showed, hey, don't screw with Mother Nature.
Yeah.
It's not as predictable as we might think. And although maybe Floridians pride ourselves on living here and dealing with hurricanes, and we're blessed to live in a beautiful environment, but it comes with a cost,
Hmm.
and I think these storms showed people that in a way that I've never seen in my
Yeah.
lifetime.
And I think people learn best from personal experiences. That's
Mm,
ultimately the greatest teacher is going through it yourself. And Helene was an eye-opening event for many people across not just the city, but across the Tampa Bay region as well.
hmm.
And so I don't want to say we were lucky that happened,
Right.
but it definitely played a factor in people taking Milton as seriously as they should have.
And overnight, when you guys are conducting rescue operations, you don't have your staff members out there seeing this stuff, right? So what are you relying on? 911 calls and right people calling your office.
And that's what the EOC is really for. We helped communicate, coordinate the requests for support. And what happened that night was people started getting 911 calls and there was too much water. And so the normal ways we address things, normally we respond to stuff, wasn't viable anymore. And so the fire department was calling in saying, hey, we need support to reach these people. We don't have the resources here. And so that's where we reached out to the county and said, hey, we need resources. Like you guys have the National Guard. You need to send their water rescues to come help us with getting these people out of their facilities.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of the role of the EOC is to get the information when things surpass or exceed their normal capacity. We're there as an information point and a resource point to help them identify problems and find the solutions to those problems.
And that's probably a very, very daunting task as the storm is hitting and as the winds are raging and the water level is high. Even in my neighborhood, one street south of me, there was a house on fire. So all my neighbors and I, this is when the surge was peaking. So I think that was maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. We're all out in our yards, our streets flooded. You know, everyone's worried that the water's going to come in the homes. We were fortunate on my street, but many streets around me were not. I'm south of Gandy, down in South Tampa. And yeah, the fire was raging. You could see the flames coming up on a street south of us. The fire department came. They could not get those. They tried, but they could not get those trucks to that home. There was too much water. And so they ended up turning around and leaving. I'm sure there was a dozen other calls to attend to. And then they eventually came back and did their work, you know, when the water came down another foot or so. Because I think those trucks can get in some level of water, but not 3 feet.
Yeah, and we do have heavy rescue vehicles that can traverse, traverse high water conditions. But
how many, right? That's the thing, you know.
Yes, yeah.
I don't think you guys have 50 of them.
No. That is why the EOC is there. So when they say like this exceeds our capacity, who can we get to help us? Send some resources to help us with that. So that's where we help to reach out to try to contact the state, try to contact the county, try to work with our partners to try to get more resources to come.
Or National Guard even, right?
The National Guard, yeah.
All pieces are on the table at that point.
Hey guys, if you want to watch the full episode of this clip, click right here. Make sure to subscribe by clicking right here. Thank you for watching.